As she walks down the street, a man steps out of a white van and forces her.
They always look like this. Long hair. They don't fucking take care of themselves. They look like they smell like shit.
The vent that she's been yelling.
Ew, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you know how like you and I in chat, like we have taste, like when it comes to like our partner. Like, oh, I like brunettes, like yada yada yada. Pedos, they have that same shit, but for children. Like they're actually picky, which is fucking disgusting.
About how
Anytime I hear about cases like this about pedos, I always want to Mortal Kombat fatality them. Okay, yeah. This whole stream is now being recorded, so don't say any naughty words, bitches. Shushi, I got a girlfriend. I'm so happy, and plus she is so pretty and stuff. Aw, I hope y'all fucking break up. Hope she cheats on you too. You need it. You low-key need it. So it's like a canon event. Like that's crazy like character development for you. But also I'm just praying on your downfall, to be honest. True story. A little girl was locked in a basement for 8 years by an old man. 3096 days movie recap. 8 years by some creepy monster piece of shit scumbag of a man. And yeah, let's watch this. It's like, I think there was a movie made on it. Yeah, I can never imagine like these stories where like people are kidnapped by the same person, like they're with the same person for years at a time. I don't know, like what does the person do to them in that time? Like Jesus Christ, that's sad, not gonna lie. No, yeah, 8 years, especially for someone young, like under the age of 10, let's say, or even 12, like 12, around that age. Those are like super crucial, like formative years, like those years that you and I would have spent in high school and middle school, creating these deep friendships, making your personality, growing up, etc., etc. These pieces of shit, they just completely take that away. And trauma, like this girl, for example, they're just never the same, and they're never gonna get that time back in life. That's crazy. It's not that long. It's 17 minutes.
Today we're recapping the crime drama 3096 Days. Careful for spoilers ahead.
Oh my
Based
god.
on a true story, the movie
fully
opens
grew up
up
there.
with Natasha Kampusch skiing down a mountain, seemingly alone with her thoughts. She comes to a stop at the bottom of the slope, where a group of skiers passes her by, indicating she's in fact not alone. A man stops next to her, and their eyes lock for a second.
Is this the
He
asshole
seems to
bitch?
understand the look she's giving him, and takes her to the bathroom where he first checks for other occupants. Seems like nobody's there, so he allows Natasha inside while he waits by the door. Natasha's in her stall when she hears another woman in the bathroom that the man did not initially see. She hurries to get dressed and hesitantly follows her to the sinks. Looking to make sure the man wasn't watching, she approaches the woman and asks for help, telling her name, Natasha Kampusch. Flashback. A younger Natasha is dancing at the bar with her father. Her father seems to be very intoxicated and proposes a toast with his friends. The night goes on, and Natasha is seen walking outside the bar alone. She tries to tell her father that it's getting late and that her mother will worry, but he laughs it off, promising to leave soon. Natasha wakes up the next day with her mother yelling at her to get up. Her mother tells her to put on the dress that she made for her, but Natasha's convinced that it makes her look fat. Her mother simply tells her to not eat so many biscuits, indicating a non-empathetic relationship between the two. Natasha puts on the dress. Natasha's mother's yelling at her to hurry, insisting that she'll be late to work. Natasha mopes to the table, indicating that she's tired. After staring at her for a second, her mother confronts her about her dad taking her to the bar. She frustratingly claims that the bar is no place for children. She threatens Natasha that if her father takes her home late one more time, she will not be allowed to see him again. Natasha tries to protest, but her mother slaps her in response. Stunned,
I fucking hate parents like
Natasha
that, bro.
silently walks away without a word, leaving for school. Her mother tries to apologize, but Natasha continues to walk away. On the way to school, Natasha's walking alone. Some kids play in a park, but she walks right by them. As she walks down the street, a man steps out of a white van and forces her.
They always look like this. Okay, I get it's just like, I get it's just a movie, but like they always
Of a white
usually have long hair. They don't fucking take care of themselves. They
forces
look like
her
they
into
smell
the
like
car.
shit.
Natasha screams for
So it's
help,
these lame ass
but
fucking
nobody's there to
incel
listen.
looking motherfuckers.
He hits her, knocking her unconscious, and drives away. Another little girl is across the street, stunned at what she just witnessed. The man takes Natasha to his gated home, where he carries her to a small room with only a sink and a toilet. He locks the room behind him, the wall where he's hidden her. Then he closes the wall, as well as the basement that the room seems to be in. Natasha wakes up in the small room, confused about her whereabouts. She tries to call out for help through the door, but
Who
there's
let
no one
Yandere
there.
Dev in the
She
chat?
stares at a small vent in the room that gives her air before giving up. The man returns to the room with a mattress, food, and water. She tells him she wants to see her mom, but he ignores her and shuts the door on her. Natasha tries screaming for help through the vent in the room, but nobody could hear her. Eventually, it gets late, and she gets ready for bed. The light turns off, and she feels through the dark calling for her mom. It's day 3, and the man is pondering what he's done. He goes about his day like he hadn't kidnapped a little girl. The man, Wolfgang, reads a book to Natasha about the princess and the pea. She stays in her corner, eating cookies and listening to the story. When the story ends, he plugs in a nightlight and tries to leave, but Natasha stops him. She asks for a goodnight kiss, just like her mother used to give her. He pauses
Oh
for a
my
second
God.
and obliges, kissing her goodnight.
No. Oh
Elsewhere,
my God.
Natasha's
Okay.
mother and grandmother are watching the news about their missing child. The news reporter claims that Natasha's mother has lost all hope, to which she protests. The two sit anxiously together, waiting to get word about their missing little girl. In the basement, Natasha's walking back and forth endlessly, trying to cope with her boredom. She loses track of time and wonders what day it is before the lights shut off, indicating it's time for bed. Wolfgang's mother walks around his kitchen, listing off supplies that should feed him for the week. She tries to give him suggestions as to what he should make, but he just impishly tries to joke around with her. She doesn't catch on to his bad jokes, and the two share an
Is
awkward
this
exchange.
based off of a real
indicating
story?
that
No, yeah,
his
this is based off a
relationship
real
with his
story,
mother
bro.
is similar
She,
to
like, again, 8 years.
Natasha
Goddamn.
and hers. Later that night, the two watch the news together. It's about Natasha's
Wait, who's this? Wait, who the fuck is this old thing? Is that the mom? Wait, is she in on it?
disappearance and how she was likely taken on her route to school. His mother makes a callous remark about how she's likely being abused. He remarks that perhaps the kidnapper is just crazy. One day, Wolfgang is shampooing Natasha's hair when
Oh, she doesn't
gives
know
him
yet,
a letter
okay.
to send out to her parents, and he takes it. She then seems to use too much shampoo for his liking because he claims that it's too expensive.
Oh, this is
In
weird.
response, she suggests to just let her go. The two get into a back and forth argument that nobody wants her and that her parents aren't paying the ransom for her back. The argument escalates to the point that he's dunking her head in water mercilessly.
You can
He yells
imagine
at
that in
her,
real
and
life
he
it was
can't
more
stand
intense than
tears,
that.
and abruptly leaves the room, leaving her wet and crying to clean up the mess herself. One evening, Wolfgang's in the garden, enjoying beverages with his mother and grandmother, when the police come knocking. They ask to see his van, and Wolfgang sheepishly complies.
Here's another attribute that creeps wear: sweaters. These like nerd geeky ass sweaters, bro. Which like they can work. I'm not saying sweaters themselves like
They
this
ask.
are an attribute of like you being creepy, like they make you look creepy.
To see
But
his-
motherfuckers with this long, smelly looking hair, I don't know, man. Like you just give weird vibes.
Van.
I'm sorry,
And Wolfgang sheepishly complies.
I can make it look
They
good.
say yes.
but this
They
bitch,
have looked
nah.
at a number of similar white vans. To
I'm
no
instantly
avail.
checking your hard drive
Wolfgang's
if you look
van
like
is
that,
now filled
with a sweater.
tools and work equipment, as he claims that he used to work in telecommunications. Wolfgang continues to make small talk with the officers as one of them steps over to the secret basement where he keeps Natasha. The two asks where he was on the date of Natasha's disappearance, and he claims that he was home alone. They continue to press him with questions. He answers but quickly changes the subject, offering them beverages. They decline and insist that they must go. Natasha dreams about better and happier times with her parents.
He's probably a Coke Zero
She'd
drinker.
dress up as her parents lovingly laughed and took pictures of her. She's woken up by Wolfgang with breakfast. She requests a clock,
And we all know,
so that
fuck
she can
Coke
get a
Zero.
sense of time again. He agrees. He also installs an intercom that would allow him to speak with her while
no
he's
Diet
upstairs.
Coke drinker would ever
While
do
he's
this.
installing new stuff, she asks him about the letter she gave him. She wonders if he sent it out like she requested, to which he lies
What in
and
the
tells her
world is
yes. Later, he
Oh, yo, Claire, thank you so much for the 23 months. Holy fuck, yo, thank you for the sub.
rips up the letter. It's day 183. Out of boredom, she pretends to teach her old clothes like they're in school. She also draws on the walls and pretends to interview her clothes when she's interrupted by Wolfgang. on the intercom.
This is exactly what I would be afraid of. Children under this circumstance, when they're just locked up in a fucking basement or wherever these creeps lock them up for, whenever they kidnap children, they will go insane. Like, this will 1000% give them mental illness. It's not just about like them missing out on like childhood experiences, like making formative relationships, forming your personality, etc., etc. Because they're not surrounded by other kids their age and they're isolated like this. She is 100% gonna either. Can you develop schizophrenia, actually? Wait, actually, like, can someone educate me? Can you develop that? Or is that something you're born with? When you're by yourself, you can go insane, bro.
Interview her clothes when she's interrupted by Wolfgang on the intercom. He asks her if she brushed her
I'd be
teeth
afraid of that
and rinsed off her plate.
for like a
She
child.
lies and tells him yes. He insists that she has to obey him.
Through
And
trauma?
repeat the words "obey me" over and over on the intercom. Later, when he comes down with food for her, she tries to fool him with a fake injury. He doesn't buy it, and he tells her that if she's going to play with her food, she won't get any because she's too fat anyway.
Bruh.
She tries to fight him, but he lifts her up to the vent that she's been yelling
Ew,
at.
what the fuck are you
Tells her that it
doing?
leads to the roof, and that nobody would be able to hear her through it. He also showed her the
Also, she's
door.
not fat. Like, let's be real. Again, I know these are lines in a movie,
does-
but like, this is like normal for a kid her age to like
She
be.
tries to make a run
It's
for
not
it.
fat.
But he quickly stops her and throws her
That's
back
baby
into
fat,
the room,
basically.
crushing her
Doesn't
hopes.
count.
Natasha seemed to accept her fate and lives her days out reading to her makeshift dolls, and it's been 4 days since she last ate, and she begs Wolfgang for food. She tries to be cute and beg for food. Really pounds on the intercom saying she'll eat anything. On the other side, Wolfgang is listening to her plea and simply responds with the words, "Obey me," over and over again. 4 years later, Wolfgang still continues to utter the same words, "Obey me," over the intercom. Natasha wakes up from her nap and begs him for food. He starves her often, and this time it's been 3 days since she last ate, and she's become extremely malnourished. She begs him, but he doesn't care.
Okay, if you were just joking, I'm just gonna
distract her from
time
her
you out,
hunger,
but just
she
don't
digs
fucking
through
do
the
that again, you
trash
fucking
and
weirdo.
reads.
I'm
The
timing
room's
you
a lot more
out.
crowded now, with a bunk bed and a small heater
Yeah,
and a
you're,
table.
you're
in the
timed out
corner.
for like 10 minutes,
She's
bro.
running out of space.
Don't be
Day
weird.
1,695. She's reading a book when her period begins. Wolfgang comes in asking
Okay. So now she grew up. She gets her first period.
her to sew some of his clothes, but doesn't react well when he finds out that her period has begun. He's disgusted and tells her to clean it up, but she cannot with just the stuff that she has in the room. She asks him to use the shower upstairs, and he reluctantly agrees. When she comes out of her room for the first time, she's in awe at the sunlight shining into the basement. He tells her not to try anything because he's lined the windows and doors with
Oh, so it's
explosives
his basement.
if she tries anything. Seeing everything for the first
Jesus.
time slightly overwhelms her, but she promises to do as she's told. She's taken to the bathroom, where she must shower with him watching. One day, Wolfgang's mom is taking care of him again. She loads his dishwasher and tells him to do the dishes. He agrees and walks her out, but she stops at the door and
That's
asks him,
actually insane. The fact that the mom has been living there this whole time and for years at this point has never noticed that there's a fucking kidnapped child in the basement. Surely there would be some kind of noise.
if he has a girlfriend. Confused, he denies any relationship. She pulls a single
does she
blonde
know?
hair from his shirt and tells him that Grandma was beginning to worry that he was gay. A little
Oh.
frazzled, he assures her that he's straight. Later, he takes Natasha upstairs to shave her head.
What the
She cries sadly, and the two hang out upstairs in the kitchen together. Day
Why though?
1137.
Well, that's so fucking
Christmas
random.
now,
Why?
and
Why?
Natasha has a radio in her room to listen to. She has a tree and makeshift
What a
decorations.
piece of shit.
She listens to music and wraps a present. Wolfgang comes down with food, a camera, and a gift for her. It's a Walkman so that she can listen to music in the dark as well as a bunch of books for her to read. She tries to give him a hug, but he protests and tells her to stop. In light of the holidays, she asks him if she could know where her family is. This upsets him, and he tells her that he is her family now. Because of this, he gives her a completely new name. She'll now be called BB. And for the
There's 6
first time,
minutes left.
he introduces himself to her as Wolfgang. Elsewhere, Natasha's mother and
What? Wait, what?
he introduces himself to her as Wolfgang.
He calls himself Wolfgang. What the fuck? Bro, like, he named himself like he's like some created... Like, when you create yourself in a fucking video game, like fucking Final Fantasy or some bullshit.
Elsewhere, Natasha's mother and grandmother
Corny
are
ass
together for the
motherfucker.
holidays. Her grandmother still gets her a gift every Christmas.
Bro made a
Makes her wonder
gamer
if
tag.
Natasha will like the pink sweater. Her mother breaks out into tears, reflecting on the day Natasha was kidnapped. Natasha and Wolfgang are doing construction on his house and tear down a wall for a new
Wolfgang
room.
is a real name. I'm
When
so
she
sorry.
suggests that it's for his girlfriend, he angrily hits a bag of cement and covers her in dust. But it doesn't faze her. He tells her that she's sleeping with him tonight. That night, he zip ties their hands together.
Oh,
to share the same bed.
Oh,
It's
the motherfucker would choose the spooning
That night,
position.
he zipped-
Fucking weirdo bitch ass.
to share the same bed. As life goes on, Wolfgang seems to grow more comfortable with her. He goes to the convenience store and begins buying her
See, dude, he checks all of the boxes for all of the clothes that a weirdo would wear. Turtlenecks? Bro. And this jacket doesn't even fucking go with it. With the slick back hair.
tampons as well as condoms for himself. Later, he's at a
Yeah,
club
straight
with his
up, that's like
friends when
some,
he begins
some
to
yandere
dance
dev
with a
shit.
girl. And while initially being into it, he grows uncomfortable and leaves. Later that night, he takes advantage of Natasha and forces himself on her. Afterwards, she asks him to go to the garden, and he allows it. After a short time in the garden, he forces her back into her room,
Look how skinny she is.
frustrated with himself. Day 2029. Natasha's hair has grown out, and Wolfgang has her doing chores like cooking for him. But she's not doing it to his satisfaction and takes out his frustration on her by hitting her and refusing her food. A starving Natasha.
See, it's all about power dynamic with these people. I think that's why. Like, I never understood, just from like a logic's perspective, like a person that kidnaps someone, like taking on another human for so many years, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, what do you seek from that? Films like this always remind me, it's all about power. I mean, just look at the guy, right? I know it's a movie, but still. Just imagine it's real life. He's probably a loser, IRL. So what they do is that they'll take somebody, like a child, and then it gives them a sense of superiority in their life going
cooking
forward.
for him. But she's not doing it to his satisfaction and takes out his frustration on her by hitting her and refusing her food. A starving Natasha desperately tries to eat some food out of desperation, but Wolfgang stops her and forces her to spit it out. In the following days, he grows crueler and plays sick tricks on her, like locking her in a dark hole.
Oh my
Wolfgang
God.
eventually takes her out to run errands with him. He lies to her and tells her that he has a gun and will kill anybody if she tries anything. While out in public for the first time in years,
It's almost done.
Natasha stares at the normal people
Only
living their
4
life,
more minutes.
unaware of her situation. While in a store, there's a brief moment that he leaves her alone, but she doesn't run. The words "obey me" echo through her head, and she can't bring herself to ask for help. Day 2175. The room him and Natasha have been working on has finally been complete.
Purple
Despite
walls?
being the one doing most of the work, loves
First the turtleneck, then the hair, then the fucking sweater, and now purple walls. Like oh my Jesus.
the room, and the two enjoy drinks at his brand new bar in the garden. In her room, Natasha's listening to the radio when the announcer talks about how it's been 6 years.
It's just, he
since her
just ticks all the
disappearance.
boxes, bro.
Wolfgang takes her to her new room and calls it the Aphrodite Suite. He makes her put on lingerie, claiming it's their wedding day. She asks him why he chose her, and he tells her about the time they locked eyes at a convenience store when she was very young.
Ew. See, that's the more disgusting part. It's how how initially the pedo gets hooked to a child. That's actually such an interesting question. I've never thought to like raise that question. What is it exactly that makes like a pedo like choose a specific child? Because how much you want to bet they actually have taste? Like, you know how like you and I in chat, like we have taste like when it comes to like our partner. Like, oh, I like brunettes, like yada yada yada. Pedos, they have that same shit, but for children. Like they're actually picky, which is fucking disgusting. This guy locked eyes with a kid in a candy store and like what, fell in love.
About how he slowly built the secret room from scratch all for her, and then proceeds to get intimate with her. Later, Natasha starts a fire in her room, hoping to commit suicide. The smoke is too much for her to handle and she puts it out. She tries to clean up the room to cover up the smell of the smoke, but it doesn't work. He then beats her out of anger, telling her that she's not allowed to kill herself. Her response is that if she's not allowed to leave, one of them must die. She later writes down how he beat her on some toilet paper and puts it in a box. Cut to the scene from the beginning of the movie. Wolfgang is trying to teach her to ski.
So now we're at this part
to keep her balance.
again.
Similar to the beginning of the movie, he stands guard at the door, and she approaches a woman for help. Unfortunately, the woman doesn't speak English and walks away under the situation. Later, Wolfgang asks her about it, and she lies, telling him nothing happened. He doesn't believe her and proceeds to hit her. She adds the
You
beating
piece of
to a
shit,
box
fucking
of
elbowed
records
her.
that is now full of papers from the times he hit her. Day 2908. It's
She just
Natasha's
now was
18th
turning
birthday.
18?
He hit her. Day 2908. It's Natasha's 18th birthday. He gets her a cake in the shape of a number 18, as well as a dress that she puts on right away. The two of them dance to some music while Wolfgang tries to teach her. One day, the two are working on the garden together, and the neighbor sees them over a hedge. They exchange an awkward greeting, but nothing comes out of it. The two have
Literally stole her entire childhood. That's the saddest part. Her childhood was in a basement.
lunch together, and unlike before, she manages to do everything without upsetting him. The two have begun to settle down with one another. One day, Natasha is tasked with cleaning the van, and the two of them work together to clean the van. While she vacuums the inside, she takes a note of the gate being open. Wolfgang has dropped his guard with her
Creepy
and
ass
leaves her
bitch.
alone to take a phone call. She uses the opportunity to make a run for it.
Oh,
Wolfgang comes back, but he's too late. She's gone. After running for help, she finds an older lady working on her garden.
let's go.
and begs
Let's
for
go,
help.
old lady.
It's day 3096.
Old people.
And the police come
W.
by to finally take her home. Wolfgang commits suicide by laying down in front of a train.
Mother.
Natasha
They
sees her
always do
parents
that. These pussies always do that shit. They can't face the consequences of their action. They always fucking off themselves.
again for the first time since she was taken and hugs them emotionally.
Oh,
The paparazzi's outside, waiting
The
for her
mom.
triumphant return to the world.
Anytime I hear about cases like this about pedos, I always want to Mortal Kombat fatality them. Holy shit. Yeah.